zero heartburn.
World politics tonight. Mitt Romney in search of Latino votes, trying to close a big gap with President Obama on this one. Speaking today to a national Latino group, Governor Romney said that America must make lawful immigration more attractive. He said he favors offering citizenship to immigrants serving in the military, which is now part of the now dead DREAM Act. He did not, however, mention his pledge during the primary to veto a DREAM Act if one passed during a Romney presidency. As for what he'd do about President Obama's decision allowing work visas for young illegal immigrants who go to school, you'll recall he shied away from the question for almost a week ago, including notably with CBS's Bob Schieffer last weekend.
Would you repeal this order if you became president?
Well, let's step back and look at the issue.
What would you do about it?
Well, as you know, he was president for the last 3.5 years, did nothing on immigration.
But would you repeal this?
Well, it would be overtaken by events, if you will, by virtue of my putting in place a long-term solution with legislation which creates law that relates to these individuals such that they know what their setting is going to be, not just for the term of a president, but on a permanent basis.
We you leave this in place while you worked out a long-term solution, or would you just repeal it?
We'll look at that. We'll look at that setting as we reach that. But my anticipation is I'd come into office and say we need to get this done on a long-term basis, not this kind of a stopgap measure.
I think that was 4 times Bob Schieffer asked the question in different ways. That was taped on Saturday. He didn't answer the question then. Hasn't really answered all week. So was he any more specific today? Well, take a look.
Some people have asked if I will let stand the president's executive order. The answer is that I will put in place my own long-term solution that will replace and supersede the president's temporary measure. As president, I won't settle for stopgap measures. I'll work with Republicans and Democrats to build a long-term solution.
Basically the same answer he gave to Bob Schieffer. President Obama speaks to the same group tomorrow. Joining us now, CNN contributor, Republican strategist, and former John Huntsman, 2012 National Hispanic Chairwoman Ana Navarro. Also, Los Angeles Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa, National Campaign Co-Chairman of Obama for America. Anna, let me start with you. A lot of people expected Governor Romney today to say what he would do specifically with President Obama's newest immigration policy if he were to become president, but he didn't say it. He basically repeated exactly what he said to Bob Schieffer.
Well, you know, what he said was that he was going to replace it with a permanent solution. What I hope that means
right,
is
but that's
that
what he said on Saturday.
Mass deportations. That's what he said on Saturday, and I think that's what we're going to continue hearing him say. It's a good thing because he's not saying that he's going to veto it. He's not saying that he's going to repeal it. He's saying that he's going to replace it with a responsible long-term solution. Well, Anderson, you know, if we took issue with all the politicians who don't specifically answer questions, I think there'd be very few left in Congress and anywhere in America. You know, this is, I think, a very different Mitt Romney than what we've heard. I have been very critical of him in the primary. And I think the Mitt Romney I heard today is much more nuanced, has a much more moderate tone, more serious, sober policy proposals. I heard a lot of policy proposals from him on how to fix the legal immigration problem. And they are things, some of them would chip away at the illegal immigration problem. I wish I had heard more from him. But I am happy with this as a start.
Mr. Mayor, Mitt Romney started his speech talking not about immigration policy, but about the flagging economy. As you know, the economic downturn has hit Hispanics particularly hard. If the economy does not improve by November, could that cost the president Latino vote, a voting bloc the Obama campaign firmly believes this election could hinge on?
Well, first of all, let's be clear. He said that the president's policies put 2 million Latinos in poverty. Actually, it's the opposite. 2 million people, Latinos, are out of poverty because of his policies. In addition to that, look, he wants to make this about the economy today. We're going to make it about the future because we believe that if we make investments in education and infrastructure and transportation, if we make investments that support and strengthen the middle class, that's good for the economy and it's good for America. My grandpa got here from Mexico 100 years ago. He left a country that was rich and poor. We don't want to bring our country to that point. And I think, speaking on immigration, by the way, the New York Times said today that he was evasive in not answering the question. The fact is, if he wants to propose a DREAM Act now, a permanent solution, he can do it. He can call on the Congress to do what they should have done a long time ago, what 208 Democrats did when they passed the DREAM Act. a while back and what 51 Democrats in the Senate did. But he's not doing that. Instead, he's engaging in equivocation, as he's done throughout the campaign. He's talked about the self-deportation of 11 million people. What does that mean? That means dividing families. That means sending parents back and leaving their kids here. That's not the America we know and love. That's not the America that my grandpa came to 100 years ago.
Anna, the governor keeps talking about he'll have a long-term solution and that President Obama's is a short-term solution. President Obama, in announcing this, said this is a short-term solution and he wants to work on a long-term solution. He would like one, but in the interim, they're doing this short-term solution. Why would Governor why shouldn't Governor Romney answer whether or not he would repeal it? Because there's no guarantee he could get a long-term solution through Congress.
I don't think there's any guarantee that either of them are going to get a long-term solution. I think Obama has lost his best opportunity. If Obama gets reelected, he is a lame duck from day one, and he's coming into a very polarized Congress. He had a Democrat majority his first 2 years, and he failed to act on immigration. I think what Romney did today, Anderson, was resist the trap.
You don't think it's a cop-out for Romney just to say, well, I'm going to work on a long-term solution and not answer whether, we all know why he's not going to answer whether or not he would repeal it, because it politically puts him in a difficult spot, no?
Look, I think he's trying to walk a tightrope, but I also appreciate that he's not coming to these Latino events and pandering on immigration. I was at this same Latino event 4 years ago when Barack Obama promised to do immigration reform in the first year of his presidency. That is pandering. Not only did he not propose a plan, he hasn't led on it, he hasn't spoken about it. We haven't seen anything from him other than more deportations. So I think Mitt Romney was not falling into the same trap, and he said that over and over again. Basically, the bottom line is Hispanics on immigration, for those who are undocumented, those who are worried about the undocumented, have two choices. Either a guy who whispers sweet nothings into our ear, makes big promises every 4 years, and then doesn't deliver anything but higher deportation, or a guy that does not make big promises, that does not pander, and what he commits to is to work on it. Those are the two choices on immigration, and I think Hispanics would be well served to look at the entire picture and the entire package and all the other issues that are important to us.
Mayor, would you say that the president, that his ruling last week was about politics?
Actually, Governor Romney has made different promises to different people. You were at most of the debates. The CNN sponsored a number of them, where he called for the self-deportation of 11 million people, where he called Chris Kobach, the Arizona and Alabama laws, a model for the nation, where he said that the DREAM Act was a handout. Today, he's moving his position a bit on a number of those issues. The best thing he could do to get this out of politics and out of the campaign is to call on Speaker Boehner and Senator Reid to call a special session of the House. Let's get the DREAM Act passed. Let's get comprehensive immigration passed. Let's Democrats and Republicans work together to pass this and get it out of the campaign.
Mayor Villaraigosa, I appreciate you being on, Anna Navarro as well. Thank you. In other news tonight, we're following a just-released video giving a new view of the Trayvon Martin shooting. It shows George Zimmerman literally walking police through the moments that led up to Martin's death. This was shot the day after the shooting. Will the reenactment change any minds? You can watch for yourself, decide for yourself. Let us know. We're keeping them honest.